The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Down the bottom of the field nearby here. At this point, it's too early to tell if the body that we found is that of Camila. At this point, we don't suspect foul play. There was a firearm missing in this case. We had not parted with that information publicly just yet, but I can tell you that there has been a firearm recovered at the scene.
A Texas teen who vanished Christmas Eve morning, now a shocking development. A body and a gun discovered. We'll tell you what police are saying this morning. Plus, the former sheriff accused of murdering a judge in his chambers is trending in true crime as Mickey Stines' defense team wants the judge on the case removed. Also this hour, defendant Raul Valley acquitted of murder, but now he's awaiting retrial on lesser charges. He's expected in court next week, so we'll talk about what in the world will happen. And could more indictments be coming down for accused child killer Ashley Buzzard? We're discussing the chances of a federal case. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Wednesday morning to you, or should I say Happy New Year's Eve. I'm Julie Grant, and this is Opening Statements. We're so glad to have you with us this morning. We put together a great show for you before the holiday kicks off, so we're going to kick it off as we always do by having you grab that cup of coffee or tea or whatever you like in the morning. It's time for my opening statement. It is New Year's Eve. New opportunities, new resolutions. Many of us will be celebrating tonight by ringing in the new year with the people we love. And as we enjoy our blessings, let's remember all of those crime victims who aren't as fortunate. Because this new year will be filled with more heartache and more pain for them because of the immeasurable losses that they've suffered. Now, it would be absolutely impossible for me to name every single case victim, but some that stand out from our coverage this year include the Idaho 4, Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Cult Moms victims Charles Vallow, JJ Vallow, and Tylee Ryan. I'm also thinking about Boston police officer John O'Keefe. And teenagers Sade Robinson and Mia Campos. I'm also thinking about babies Quentin Simon and Emmanuel Haro, as well as Master Sergeant Ashley Henning and law professor Dan Markell. You know, the list goes on and on and on. All of those people should be with us today, and it is a crying shame that they're not. So let's send them our love, our prayers, and healing wishes to their families. Let's send the families of all crime victims here in the United States and around the world our love and our light, because what they've gone through is life-changing. And they can sure use our support to get through the new year. That's my last opening statement for 2025. I'll have another one for you next week in 2026.
Conspiracy is an ancient word that appears in the Bible on many occasions. Judas conspired against Jesus with the chief priests for 30 pieces of silver.
Object to, unless this is being presented at trial, I'm not sure that this is appropriate opening.
Cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell representing herself in her own trial. Well, this morning we're counting down to the top trials that define 2025. From murder cases that gripped the nation to high-profile verdicts that made headlines. Which trials made the list? You'll find out this morning starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. Right now, though, we turn to some huge developments in the case of missing Texas teen Camila Olmos. She vanished on Christmas Eve. We know that a body and a gun were found on Tuesday. She was last seen leaving her home in the early eve of Christmas morning. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office in Texas says that they found a body that they have not identified yet, a few hundred yards away from where Camila Olmos lived.
Down the bottom of the field nearby here. At this point, it's too early to tell if the body that we found is that of Camila. At this point, we don't suspect foul play. As you all know, one of the possibilities that we were working under was fear of self-harm. And at this point, there are some indicators that the body that we found may be as a result of that.
The sheriff added that the clothes on the body matched the description of what Olmos was wearing the last time that she was seen. Now, during the search, authorities released this video from a driver that shows somebody resembling the teenager around 7 a.m. on the morning that she left her home. Let's talk about this. Let's bring in law enforcement expert and trial consultant Sonny Slaughter and retired NYPD detective and the co-host of the Gold Shield Show, Tom Smith. Good morning to you both. Not the news we were hoping to get. Sonny, your reaction to this news of a body being found, no confirmation that it's her, but an indication from the sheriff's office that there was no foul play involved.
Good morning, Julie. Good morning, Tom. Great to be on with both of you. It is difficult to hear this news. And yesterday I was just talking about this. But I always said that the police know more than they were sharing, and the fact that there was a weapon found near this body indicates that she took the weapon with her from somewhere. So I think they already knew that. I would be shocked if this is not Camila, and it's sad news, but we have a resolution potentially if this is her, but we still don't have answers as to why. So this is a sad but sobering moment for all of us when it comes to what people are going through that we don't recognize when they're right in front of us. People are having very hard times, regardless of their age. And if this is her, it is heartbreaking, it is astonishing, but hopefully her family has some closure as to where she is if this is her.
Yes, Sonny. The sheriff's office talked a little bit about the firearm they found nearby. Let's take a listen to what was said.
I can tell you that we found a firearm very near the body. And in this particular case, we're actually looking for a firearm as well that had come up missing. It was a family member's firearm.
Tom, I'll go to you on this. Sonny made the comment, and she's right, law enforcement always holds back some things for good reason. That was one of those details that we're just learning at Court TV. We didn't know this initially when she disappeared, that a firearm had gone missing from the home. Had we known that, I wonder if our analysis maybe would have been a little different yesterday. Who knows? Your reaction, Tom, to this news, please.
Yeah, it's just sad. You know, like Sonny stated, you know, we did a show on this yesterday, and this is why you leave all the options open of what could have happened to this young lady. And unfortunately, this is the outcome. The other part of this is going to be interesting of whose firearm was it, where was it locked up, why did this 19-year-old have such an easy access to it? So that's going to be additional questions that are going to come out of this, unfortunately, but that has to be addressed. And, you know, like Sonny said, you hope maybe something comes out of this, of warning signs that other parents can pick up on, red flags of their own children that maybe be going through something like this, that they can aid themselves so something like this doesn't happen in their families.
Right. You're right, Tom. It's a tough thing to, you know, wrestle with when you're a family member and someone dies by suicide. If that is the case here, we don't know, no confirmation yet officially, but the facts certainly seem that way. And as you said, the next conversation is going to be about the weapon that was used. We know that it was known that she was experiencing suicidal ideations. We know that. That was something that the sheriff's office knew. We reported that initially. The sheriff said, and I'm quoting here, she might have been experiencing some suicidal ideation, saying that she was, quote, a young person going through a very tough time in her life. Sonny, back to the point you just made about We never know what another person is going through. It's tough for all of us getting through this life, especially young people. I think there are different pressures nowadays than there were when all of us, were growing up. Talk to me a little bit, please, about precautions that need to be taken in a home where there are firearms present, if there's someone experiencing mental health difficulties.
As a mother of 4 and someone who raised their children around firearms, with firearms, and it is really important for families to secure their weapons. I have several locks that I have given away to others. My own children, they have their own way. They're adults now on bio mechanisms to lock their firearms. And when a person, whether it's a child or anyone in the household or anyone coming to your home, if you have firearms, it is really, really important to lock those down, keep those away, and not let people have access to them, even visitors. You don't want people going through your things. And if a child is having a hard time in your care, that is even more of a reason to ensure that they do not have access to them, that they do not know where they are, that you, if you can, move them to a different location, move them out of the house. But we are seeing more and more suicides these days of young people, of adults. It is critical, as Tom was saying, that we recognize these red flags. This is a horrible situation. The police held back that there was a firearm, but that is the reason why they were using the language imminent danger. While I thought that this could be attached to human trafficking, because there is actually a lot of trafficking, human trafficking in that area, but the imminent danger, the language that was being used clearly showed that there was a threat beyond what we could see, and this is what we are seeing. Firearms are deadly, they are dangerous, but just as other weapons, knives, people are really going through a lot these days, and young people often have no way to express those things other than somebody recognizing them and taking them to get care.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Sonny, agreed. Tom, let me go to you on that fact we talked about yesterday when we were having the conversation about whether or not this could have been a trafficking situation. And we talked about how weird it seemed that she took her driver's license with her. And one of our other analysts on the show had made the comment about, if somebody was going to commit suicide, why would they feel the need to take their license? That stood out to him as being odd. Tom, looking now at the facts we have, tell us what you think about her taking that with her.
This is a really sad part, but she had a conscious thought of her being identified, and that's all it was. It was to make sure that they knew it was her, and her parents or family members know it was her. There wasn't a mystery of a body being found, and that was a conscious thought of what she was about to do and making sure her family knew it was her.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Tom. This is so heartbreaking. Our hearts go out to the Olmos family. This beautiful young lady had so much life ahead of her. If it is her, we're going to report that. Again, the sheriff's office not giving a confirmation, but all signs seem to point to a very grim outcome here. Sonny and Tom, thank you so much for weighing in. Stand by kindly, please. We'll hit a break. When we come back, here's what's next on Opening Statements.
Can we loosen this up a little or give the window down? I'm sorry? Can we loosen this up a little? Be fair to me, man.
I got some air. I'll crack the window for you, but I can turn the air on back here. Okay?
Yeah. Be fair to me now.
I promise, man. Yeah, I promise.
God, please.
I promise.
It's hot back here, man. I can't breathe.
Hear the voice there of Sheriff Mickey Stines. Well, should I say former sheriff. Now he's a defendant. He's accused of murdering a judge, and his legal team wants the judge presiding over his case to recuse himself. We'll explain. Plus, defendant Raul Valley, remember him? He was acquitted of murder in the Preppy Party murder case. Well, now he's back in court on some other charges. We're looking ahead to his hearing next week.
Did you have the knife in your hand at that point?
No.
Where was the knife?
It was in my pocket.
Could you get up?
No.
Why not?
There was just so many people.
The Court TV podcast will return.
We're almost to the jail. I'll ask one last time. Is there anything you want? Is this anything to do with your family?
Former Sheriff Mickey Stines is trending this morning as his defense team is asking to remove the presiding judge. So in a motion filed on Monday, Stines' defense team claims that Judge Christopher Coron can't be objective in the case due to his close relationship with victim Kevin Mullins, saying, quote, impartiality might reasonably be questioned, according to the defense in their request. Here's what they say. They point to a video that was taken 7 days before the shooting occurred. And in that video, you see Judge Kevin Mullins and Judge Coron just inches apart for approximately 2 hours. Mullins and Coron were attending a mental health meeting with the Kentucky Judicial Commission. So both of those judges there together and sitting close to each other. So Stines' defense team claims that this judge didn't disclose that meeting with victim Kevin Mullins, and that leads to, quote, an appearance of impropriety. All right, so let's get down to it. Should the judge recuse himself? Let's talk about it. Let's bring in attorney Franz Borghardt and retired NYPD detective and the co-host of the Gold Shield show, Tom Smith. All right, so legally here, Franz, I want to go to you on this part. Is there something here to this motion? Does the defense team have a point? What do you say?
So sometimes we file motions not because we have a point, but to alert the judge or the world that, hey, we know that you guys knew each other and that y'all were colleagues, and we're just putting you on notice that we know that. And I don't expect them to win this. I don't expect it to be a recusal. But if you're defending the guy, and keep in mind, Julie, this ain't a whodunit. So if you're defending the guy, you got to file this motion. You got to file it. And maybe an outside judge from another place wouldn't be a bad idea. But that said, this is not going to be a winner. The mere appearance of impropriety is generally not enough to cause a recusal. But it's a good motion to file to protect the record.
Definitely. Yeah, Franz, you're exactly right. You know, and if you're on the side of the state, or the Commonwealth in this case, in Kentucky, and you are saying, wait a minute, there was no close relationship. I don't know. I want to be very clear. We don't know here at Court TV what the relationship is, so let's get that out. But let's just say, for the sake of our analysis, that you're confident that this was just a meeting, that two judges were attending, nothing more. Tom Smith, I'm wondering if you ask one of your investigators at the DA's office to go look into how many other judges from that courthouse might have been there too. That's what I would want to know. What do you say, Tom?
Yeah, that's going to be part of it. But Franz is exactly right. You know, the defense has a job to do, and they're going to pull off everything they could possibly do to defend the defendant in this. And this is one of them. Do I expect it to be overturned? Like he said, no. But you're going to cover every base, because here's why. You want it done correctly, Julie. You know, if you're the prosecution and you're law enforcement, you want to make sure all your dots are, your T's are crossed and everything else, to make sure that this conviction stands and there's no grounds for an appeal.
Mm-hmm. Right, Tom, exactly. Yeah, so I suppose we'll wait and see what the state's response is to that motion. We'll see if they say, look, this was a meeting and nothing more, or maybe, look, stranger things have happened. Prosecutors aren't always aware of these things. So sometimes it's good when a defense attorney brings something, to you that you need to be made aware of, because nobody wants anything coming back, as you said, Tom. So let's talk a little bit about the insanity defense here. We understand that Stines' legal team might be trying to argue extreme emotional disturbance that occurred at this time. And this defense team is writing in this motion that the relationship that the presiding judge has with the victim, so they say, could create some bias in him maybe not letting certain evidence in that may point to temporary insanity. Franz, what do you think about that nuance to the argument?
I mean, maybe the pickle sticks on the wall, Julie. Look.
That's a good saying. I like that.
Right. I mean, look, at the end of the day, sanity or some kind of heat of passion is only going to be this.
Oh, and Franz, we just lost your signal. Tom Smith, it's going to be like Groundhog Day for you. Yesterday, we lost a signal. You saved the day. Today, we're having you do it again. We're going to hire you pretty soon. So tell me, with the temporary insanity, looking at that video we were just looking at, Mickey Stines raising that gun. I mean, what do you say as an investigator? What do you see in that video?
A absolute premeditation, a knowledge of what you're doing. You know, he didn't just walk in there, blast a couple of rounds, and run out the door. This was a conversation. This was precise. Even walking around, you know, like you're seeing right now, making sure he's down, shooting him again, crouching down right at the end. This is absolutely a cold-blooded murder that he knew exactly, in my mind, what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. You know, Tom, it's interesting. You're looking at how he's, I mean, when you're going to fire a shot, he's firing the proper way. Is he not? I'm not saying this was wrong, but just the way, look at how he holds the gun. You know, he's, it's chilling to look at. Tom, do you think that the jury is going to see temporary insanity when they look at this?
I don't think so, because of everything we just talked about and every point that we just brought up. You know, you can not tell, but you know what I mean, when it's a spur-of-the-moment action and maybe the insanity thing will work. When you have something that is so precise in what you're watching, it's going to be very hard for them to come up with any other conclusion in this, in my mind. Just on the video itself, the video is damning, as you know, but it just kind of tells its own story of what he was thinking and what he wanted the outcome of that altercation to be.
Yeah, it really does, Tom. You're exactly right. Franz, I think we have your signal unfrozen, so I want to give you a chance to weigh in. We were just talking about how chilling this video is. It's, you know, we see him shooting the judge at very close range, you know, taking the time to square up. I mean, using his non-trigger hand to support his other hand. I mean, it's just, ooh. Do you think his defense team can be successful in a temporary insanity defense, Franz?
I think that in this video, it would be very difficult to argue that he did not understand the distinction between right and wrong. He might have a good argument for heat of the moment, heat of passion, depending on the reason he's doing this act. He may have a nullification argument for, hey, this judge had it coming. And I'm not saying the judge had it coming, and I'm not saying that murder is ever justified, but sometimes that's the defense, is this person put himself in this position, and anybody in this defendant's shoes would have done the same thing. That's a very hard nullification argument, Julie, and it seldom works. But that said, to your question, I don't think sanity on any level is going to work based on the I'm going to use the word tactical nature of this shooting. Look at the way he's holding the firearm. Look at the way he...
Oh, you froze again, Franz, but we know where you were going with that. That's a good way to say the tactical nature of it. Tom Smith, do us a favor again. If you finish us off for this segment, it does look tactical, doesn't it? It looks to be an attack that he seems so collected and calm. Doesn't seem like he's losing it, but we don't know what was going through his mind. Maybe he was. What do you say, Tom? Final word, please.
Yeah, I think you used a great word, calm. He just took his time doing it, and that's how calculatedly cold he was in doing this. He knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to kill this individual, and he spared no expense of doing that and walking up again. You see him going to leave the room and then stops and comes back and shoots him again. I mean, that is just as cold-blooded as you can get.
Oh, it really is. That's chilling to watch that video. Tom Smith, excellent analysis from you. As always, friends at home, be sure to check out Tom's podcast, The Gold Shield Show. It's awesome like him. Happy New Year, my friend. We'll see you in 2026.
Happy New Year to you too, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you. And still to come here on Opening Statements, we are shining a spotlight on a case I know you're going to remember. The Preppy Party murder trial. Remember this defendant, Raul Valley, acquitted of the murder charge, but the jury was deadlocked on the other charges. So what's going to happen when the case is set for next year? We'll talk about that. Plus, could a federal indictment be coming for mom Ashley Buzzard?
The body of Melody Alani Buzzard, the 9-year-old child who went missing from the Lompoc area in October of this year, has been found. The FBI arrested her mother, Ashley Lynn Buzzard, for her murder.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Did you have the knife in your hand at that point?
No.
Where was the knife?
It was in my pocket.
Could you get up?
No.
Why not?
There was just so many people.
Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
This morning, we're shining a spotlight in Connecticut, where a former high schooler acquitted in the stabbing death of a fellow student is back in court next week. Raul Valley was found not guilty of murder earlier this year after he fatally stabbed 17-year-old James McGrath during a fight that broke out during a high school party. Valley took the stand during his trial, where he claimed that he was acting in self-defense when he killed McGrath and injured 3 others.
As you began to try to back up, what happened at that point?
I got hit.
Where did you get hit?
It was the side of my head, I want to say, but I couldn't really tell where.
And when you say it was the side of your head, could you tell which side?
I only found out after.
And how were you feeling at that point?
Everything just went black.
When you say everything went black, what's the next thing that you remember?
My face was in the ground.
Could you see where Tyler De Silva was? What could you see?
Just the ground. And people were just stomping and kicking and punching everywhere.
Did you have the knife in your hand at that point?
No.
Where was the knife?
It was in my pocket.
Now, the jury couldn't come to a unanimous decision on a number of other charges in the case, including reckless manslaughter and reckless assault. So the judge declared a mistrial on those lesser counts. So now, Mr. Valley has to go back to court, awaiting his retrial on those other counts. His case is set for a plea hearing date on the docket. So what does that mean? Does that mean he's going to plead to these lesser charges? Does that mean he's going to proceed to trial and fight these other charges? He had a good outcome on the murder charge. What might the jury do with the lessers a second time around? Let's talk about that. Let's bring in trial consultant and law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Franz Borghardt. All right, Sonny, tapping into your experience as a consultant. If this young man's defense team reached out to you and said, what would be the best thing for us to do here on these facts, what would you tell them, please?
I would tell them that we probably need to see what kind of plea deal that we could make, because the outcome was fine the first time, but I'm not sure that a new jury might not find him guilty because he brought a weapon to an event that didn't require one. So I would say, let's see what our options are to take a plea deal and not go forward with another trial.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Franz, what do you say? What would you say if his parents asked you the same question?
I think there's always room for a discussion about resolutions. I think it's bad lawyering not to have those kind of conversations. And in this case, there is a straight-faced discussion to be had with the state of what can we do to resolve this that maybe doesn't involve him going to jail, maybe doesn't involve him being a convicted felon. And if you can hit those magical spots, Julie, maybe there's a plea to be had.
Yeah, maybe. Let's take a look at these charges we're looking at. So we've got 2 counts of first-degree assault, we've got first-degree manslaughter, and we've got 1 count of second-degree assault. Okay, so the first-degree manslaughter is the biggest one that we got to worry about here. Franz, looking at that charge, what would you ask for if you're his defense counsel? What do you think may be a fair resolution here to request from the state?
Well, if I'm getting anything I want, I would want a juvenile disposition that will not make him a convicted felon without jail time. So if you want to charge him with juvenile manslaughter, because I think at the time of the crime, he was in fact a juvenile. If you want to do that, he pleads, gets probation, and we all move forward. Now, if they don't want that, if they want an adult crime, probably I just want probation, and I don't want my client to go to jail.
Mm-hmm. Right, Franz. I want to look back at some of the victims who survived this incident and what they said when they took the stand and told the jury about their injuries.
And all I saw was like a big piece of fat, like hanging out of my arm, and just blood like bleeding down the side of me.
And then I took a flashlight out from my phone, and I put it on my leg, and then I realized my leg from my quad all the way down to my ankle was covered in blood. There was no skin to see.
Just kind of lifted up my shirt and looked, and I was like, holy like I was stabbed. I heard the bubbles come from out of my chest, and I just immediately thought the worst.
Sonny, I know you remember this case well, so do you, Franz. But Sonny, I'll go to you on this one, please. These other individuals who survived, these victims who managed to get through this attack and go on with their lives, them having to go through another trial, as you know, is another consideration for these prosecutors. Does that in any way incentivize, do you think, these prosecutors to resolve this so that these young men don't have to be put through another trial?
Absolutely. I think that we need to rethink how we further traumatize some victims. They are very young. They had a very traumatic experience. If we can move beyond having them to take the stand again and just relive this nightmare, it would be beneficial for them, and it would also be beneficial for the defendant, because when you listen at the testimony of these 3 individuals, it can cause another jury to rethink, which is why I agree with Franz. Good morning, Franz, that a resolution at 17, you know, when we think about the actual crime, is better than having to go through all of this again for all of them, for everyone involved. I know it doesn't help the father, who was very hurt by this, but we have to think about the long term and the long-term impact, not only of the family of the victim, but also the jurors that have to keep seeing this. The reliving of these types of testimonies can be very traumatic for juries, and we often forget about what they see and hear and what their experiences are long-term after all of the lights have gone out.
Yeah, definitely. Great points from you both. Sonny and Franz, thanks so much. Stand by, please. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, here's what's next on Opening Statements.
You're a mother. I'm a mother. I'm a grandma. How can you do that to a baby? I can't talk no more.
The new year's just around the corner. We're wondering, will we see more indictments coming down for Mom Ashley Buzzard?
This is the Court TV podcast.
Maternal filicide is rare and always difficult to comprehend. That this level of criminal activity is particularly shocking given the calculated, cold-blooded, and criminally sophisticated premeditation and heartlessness that went into planning it, and the ruthlessness that went into actually committing the crime.
Ashley Buzzard facing murder charges in California for the death of her daughter, Melody. But could more indictments be on the way? Well, police believe the Buzzard shot her 9-year-old daughter in her head and left her body in a rural area in Utah. Investigators call the crime cold-blooded while showing heartlessness. Here's a timeline we know of so far. October 9th was the last verified sighting of Melody. She was right near the Colorado-Utah border. The next day, Ashley returns home without Melody. December the 6th, investigators are contacted after a decomposing body was found in Utah. On December 22nd, DNA linked the remains to Ashley Buzzard. And on the 23rd, Ashley Buzzard was arrested and charged with the murder of her own daughter. Now, we've got multiple jurisdictions here. You know, we have this family that was living in California. She's currently charged in California. Melody is killed in Utah, investigators say. We know the FBI got involved early on in this case because we knew about state lines being crossed. We knew that Ashley had taken Melody on a road trip. There was surveillance video of them. So who has jurisdiction? Let's talk about this. Let's bring back in Sonny Slaughter and Franz Borchardt. Talk about this case. Franz, I want to start with you, please. Where do you think proper venue lies?
So in a perfect world, all the government entities in these states are talking to each other saying, who has the best bite at this apple? Do we let it go federal? Do we pick one of the states who will have the best laws favorable to us seeking a conviction? Do we want to seek the death penalty or not seek the death penalty? So this is the conversation that you would hope that is being had. But honestly, it's who has the best way of proving it. That's really what it comes down to. Where's the body? Where was the murder? And if it's all in the same place, then maybe that jurisdiction takes the bite at the apple. Now, here's the kicker. The federal sovereignty and state sovereignty get each their own individual bites at the apple, and there's no double jeopardy issues. But the states only get one bite to charge her with murder, so they're only going to get one bite. Now, there may be some other felonies in there about crossing the state lines and committing crimes in those states, and they may get a bite at those apples, but really it's going to come down to what is your goal? Putting her in jail, presumably for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Franz, you're exactly right on that. So, and I should call you Professor Borchardt. You've been a law professor as well when you have time in your busy career. Yeah, that was great. So what we have here is potentially the feds can have a case and one of the states can have the homicide. We could have two states at play if one of them takes the homicide, the other one maybe has some other felonies, as you noted, Franz. So depending upon how this shakes out with, as you said, who's got the best evidence, we could see her facing charges in all three, potentially. You know, so this is really interesting to see what Utah is going to do and what the federal government is going to do. Let's go back to the moment when the gallery was gasping when she made her first court appearance and pleaded not guilty.
Mr. Gallan, do you wish to waive further reading and advisement? So and are you requesting that I enter not guilty plea and denial? We're entering a not guilty plea. Oh, okay. Not guilty plea is... Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. It is entered. Special allegations are deemed denied.
Yeah, the gallery feeling some kind of way about her. Sonny, I'm wondering if either the state of Utah or the federal government may feel strongly about pursuing capital punishment here. We know California has already said they won't pursue it. I'd love for you to weigh in on that aspect of this, please.
So following behind the professor is difficult because he's always on point. But so we know California has a pause on their death penalty. So we didn't think that would happen there. Utah does not. That has the potential for the death penalty if that is what they hope to pursue, but we know that the federal government really needs to be taking a look at this case because she went through multiple jurisdictions. And I'm not as concerned about whether the federal government will make this a death penalty case as much as I'm concerned about whether they want to charge her at all for anything. And I think that she does need to be charged federally with something because she did go through all of this charade and charade in order to cover up the murder of a very young and innocent child, one that she gave birth to. So I think it is my belief that the federal government is going to take a posture and charge her with something. Don't know if it'll be the death penalty or not, but this was a very calculated and planned out case of murder of a very young child for reasons we don't know. Her saying that she was not guilty, that, let me put on my defense litigation hat, that is expected. That is what she's supposed to do because the state still does need to prove it.
Right, right. You know, and I appreciate you saying that, Sonny. Thank you for that, because I think that, you know, while we have, you know, a wonderful audience of courties who regularly see this happen and aren't surprised by it, folks who may have been in that gallery that day are going, what? Not guilty? I mean, everybody was flabbergasted, not realizing that this is so early on. This is typical. She's cloaked in the presumption of innocence. The facts can say one thing, but, you know, they have to be proven. You know, by law, she's got a right to go through the process. And so, as you noted, Sonny, not unexpected for all of us. Let's talk about what may come next. So she's going to have a preliminary hearing date in early January, I believe. I'm curious what more we're going to learn. Franz, what are some of the questions you still have outstanding in your mind about this case?
So I want to know the in-between. We know that they use DNA to link her, right? So I want to know the in-between. How did they figure out what she did and how she did it? And those are the things at a bare minimum we should get from the preliminary examination. Preliminary examination is simply is there probable cause to hold her on bond, to arrest her? It's not a full-blown trial, but generally you have a detective or a lead officer that puts the best case forward at that preliminary examination. I wouldn't expect a whole bunch of fireworks. And it could even get delayed if a smart defense attorney may want to wait to see what other jurisdictions are going to do whatever they're going to do. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if it gets bumped, Julie.
Yeah, that's a great point, Franz. It might. We will wait and see. Of course, we're going to be there and ready to report any new developments on the Melody Buzzard murder case. Franz Borghardt, Sonny Slaughter, love having you on the program. We'll look forward to having more shows with you in 2026. Happy New Year, my friends. We'll see you soon. And friends at home, thank you so much for being with us for the final episode of 2025 for Opening Statements. We'll have much more coming at you in 2026. You can always watch the shows just by going to courttv.com, clicking on that shows. That's all for this episode of Opening Statements, my friends. I'm your host, Julie Grant, and it's been great being with you. On this show, I am calling out any pants on fire moments in our big trials and true crime stories, and I want you to come along with me. Opening Statements is live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on Court TV. Thank you for downloading this episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. You can watch past shows anytime you like on courttv.com.